So I finally gave Throne and Liberty a chance. This is a new free-to-play MMORPG that's been generating quite a lot of buzz online if you guys have been paying attention. There's a lot of mixed opinions about Throne and Liberty. Some are saying that this is a very solid MMO, it's a lot of fun, whereas others are just saying this is pay-to-win trash. So rather than just taking a side based on hearsay rather than experience, I decided to see what this game was all about. I downloaded Throne and Liberty, I turned on my Twitch stream, I set a timer for about 3 hours, which should give me a good first impressions of the game. And so this is my story, the story of what happened during my playthrough of this new MMO, both the good and the bad. And of course, at the end of this video, I will share with you all my conclusions. So let's just dive in, let's get started. One of the big selling points of Throne and Liberty, which has certainly caused a lot of talk, is the fact that it has a very in-depth character creation. Specifically, this game allows you to upload a photo of yourself, and apparently the game will auto-generate a character that looks exactly like you. So does it work? Well, I mean, I tried it, and this was the result.
Here it comes. There I am, dude.
I don't know why the game didn't capture my beard, but at least it kind of got my hairstyle, so that's cool. Had to do a few quick fixes, and then my Ragnar Lothbrok looking ass was ready to go. And I gotta say, when it comes to Throne and Liberty, you're off to a good start.
Oh, no! We must protect the children at all costs.
All right.
Yeah, so you can probably tell that this is a Korean MMO that has found its way over to the West to be able to consume the wallets of Western Wales. So the voice acting in the game is a little bit ass, especially in the very beginning. Not all throughout the game though, to its credit. It's just kind of like in the beginning, you have a little bit of a very poor impression, but let's just keep going. So the story is Morgana from League of Legends is apparently fighting Gandalf for some reason. You are a kid, you see Gandalf die, and boom, you awaken to learn that this was all just a big nightmare. The nightmare is not over though, because you open a door and Captain Jack Sparrow is suddenly there with a broken arm, telling you that you can turn into a cat. Why can you turn into a cat? I honestly have no idea. Can everybody turn into cats? I have no idea. All right, so I'm a cat, I run outside, and look, there is a giant flying whale in front of me. On a positive note though, the game does look very beautiful. I mean, just look at this, guys. I mean, this looks incredible. The world is very large in its scale. The music is really good. Everything is running insanely smooth, which is a huge blessing. Thank you, Unreal Engine 5. Sometimes, in my experience, when they port over these Eastern MMOs, they tend to run very poorly in the beginning, so this was cool to see. I had a very brief moment with my Twitch audience where I was condemning them for having not downloaded the entire Naruto soundtrack onto their iPods when they were younger, and then I got to experience a little bit of this game's combat. Now, I admit I was not a fan of the fact that I got all these moves right at the beginning as soon as I started the game. I kind of prefer maybe like the classic World of Warcraft approach where you sort of learn new abilities over time, but it is what it is. Everything went simple enough though. You got to choose what weapon you wanted to use, like what kind of character you wanted to be. I went sword and board personally because I wanted to be a tank, and I also had a bow on my back. Again, I got to play around a little bit with the combat, and everything was going relatively smooth and good until this happened. Right, so suddenly you have Fat Ron Weasley here from Harry Potter telling you to defend a town from a bunch of invading orcs and this Nazgul-looking guy. Before anybody asks, I was doing my best to pay attention to the story. In Throne and Liberty, you play as a Starborn, which is a little bit of a mystery you have to reveal over time. And it's just a power that allows you to do really badass things. I even got to fight this giant orc guy named King Vert. This was the proper first introduction to combat, and I admit I was having a good time with it. I certainly wasn't complaining about anything so far, until I found the first thing in the game, aside from that annoying talking teddy bear, that genuinely frustrated me.
Ascend! Why is the bald eagle flying? Like, am I just an idiot? Like, do I not understand? Like, oh shit, space is ascent. I'm pressing it.
Okay, so the controls for the bald eagle form that you get eventually, yes, you're a cat, then you're a bald eagle. Again, why, I don't know. But the point is, you can become an eagle now, and the controls were a little bit ass. At least they felt very, they felt very bad. Keep in mind, I'm coming off of dragon flying from World of Warcraft and the War Within, so everything is very smooth and very polished over there, and this is just more of a glide feature. It's not really flying. I don't know why a bald eagle can't fly. Like, why can't it, like, so, but it's just a glide thing, and it's just kind of janky. I met up with Ron Weasley and this girl who apparently is my girlfriend, and they tell me that I did a really good job fighting the orcs, but then they tell me to fuck off to some town really far away. So this demonic-looking teddy bear and I soar off into the horizon, where we arrive at a happy little town that threw me into a bunch of run here, do this, go there, do that sort of questing. It wasn't too bad though, and eventually I did get to leave the town and explore the surrounding fields, which reminded me a lot of Westfall from World of Warcraft. I continued on with a couple of little quests, and I learned that there apparently has been this evil rain, or at some point there was this evil rain that has caused the local creatures to become very evil, and only I can save the day. To which I responded by running off into the horizon in a completely different direction and taking part in this big wolf hunt world event. More on this event later on in the video, very important. I killed a few wolves, I got a few rewards for doing so, I learned a new morph form to become a wolf rather than a cat, and I resumed my adventure on that main quest line. With all this said, I'm about an hour and a half into the game at this point, and I do have to say one thing about Throne and Liberty, and it's probably something that you guys are thinking about while watching this video, and it is this: the cash shop. Even after an hour and a half, at no point was this cash shop, like, it never appeared in front of me. It was never even like highlighted as an option, like, oh, hey, check this out. Nothing. It was just, here's the game, play it, and that's good. You gotta understand, usually these types of MMOs are very fast to get you to buy their garbage, but not this game. Nothing was ever coming up, so I didn't see anything cash shop related, and that was good. But this was not.
Why don't you try it and see how it works?
In terms of bugs, which is probably something as well you guys might ask about, this was actually the only bug I encountered in the game. So again, the game was running very smooth, and it actually wasn't really that bad so far. So the Nazgul are back, trying to suck out from me my purple juice, but luckily my demon teddy bear was there to protect me. Sadly, the Nazgul did not kill it, even though I thought that they would, but that's fine, whatever. At this point in the story, I got to watch a couple of cool animated cutscenes. I practiced soaring as an eagle a little bit more. I kind of started to get the vibe for it, still didn't really like it very much. I spoke to this small child that very clearly my character did not give a damn about, and I crafted for myself some new gear. I really like crafting in MMOs, and something that I've noticed about Throne and Liberty, or at least in my experience, when you're out in the world and you're questing and doing whatever, you're not killing a wolf and then a pair of pants drops off of it. Instead, you're kind of going out in the world, gathering a bunch of reagents over time, and then you're bringing all that stuff back to the town, and that's where you can craft for yourself some new gear. So the game kind of forces you into the crafting system a little bit, which is, for someone like me, that's not a problem. I actually really like that, but other people might not. I'm also going to bring up combat again real fast, because at this point I was actually like getting a good handle on how the combat worked, at least if you were, you know, wielding a sword and a shield. So in this game, whenever there is this blue little circle that pops up, if you press Q, you will raise your shield, which will then parry the attack, and I believe it restores to you some HP. It actually reminded me a lot of Space Marine 2, which I'm sure that maybe one or two of you are playing right now behind closed doors. I actually just finished painting a bunch of Grey Knights for a friend of mine. It was my first ever like painted Warhammer gig, so really proud of that. Be sure to lie to me and say that I'm a good painter in the comments section and confuse the people who skip through the video and miss this part. Appreciate it, guys. All right, back to Throne and Liberty. So you got this giant ghost stag that suddenly sends you back in time to witness the events of a young princeling's heroic stand against a bunch of demonic wolves, led by an even larger demonic wolf whose name I don't remember. And this princeling's name is Henry. That's right, everybody. Jesus Christ be praised. Henry has come to see us. That was a Kingdom Come Deliverance joke. So in this quest, I got to watch Henry not raid people's homes to steal their beans, but rather watch him heroically rescue a bunch of children who the wolves were trying to eat. With my help, of course, which is something that the the heroic legends don't seem to mention. In reality, I was kind of the one doing everything, but apparently, you know, Henry is this big important character for this town, so whatever. So anyway, after gathering up all the children, the princeling eventually says, oh, I need to go fight the wolf. Only I can defeat him. And so he runs off to fight the demon wolf alone. I meet Sharagorath from Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Henry apparently dies by blowing himself up along with the demon wolf, and the big stag tells me that I'm really cool and blesses me or something. Anyway, the village, ever since the death of Henry, this, like, you know, past lore character, they apparently have been holding this big wolf hunting festival every year in honor of his memory, aka that world event that I was participating in earlier. Because we've kind of come full circle here, one thing that I will say to Throne and Liberty's credit is the storytelling is very much on point. I found myself finding a lot of things in the world that didn't seem like it meant all that much, but then later on its purpose was revealed as being part of a larger story, kind of like the outdoor wolf hunting event. You know, you just think, oh, it's just some random stupid world quest or, you know, world event outside of the town to get some quick XP and some quick items for new players. But no, apparently this world quest or whatever has this whole backstory behind it with cinematics and everything that explain it, and it kind of, you know, adds to the culture and the feel of like this particular town. The world building of Throne and Liberty was very much on point. And so, with the memory of Henry instilled upon my heart, I went and I looked at sinful transmogs in the town for a bit, all before hugging my demonic teddy bear goodbye and good riddance. And so, my journey in Throne and Liberty was now officially over. Before I logged out though, I did take a look through the store real fast, seeing all the cosmetic stuff that you could buy, as well as all the stuff that could help you level faster and whatnot. We'll talk about all that in 1 second. So let's talk about the pros of this adventure into Throne and Liberty. We'll talk about the cons and then the final conclusions. So, pros. The first thing that I'll say is that Throne and Liberty is a very beautiful game. The graphics are nice, the game runs very smooth, the animation is really solid. There's a lot of really cool animations in the game, especially when you teleport between these little way shrines or whatever. The second thing that I would say is the storytelling in this game was very much on point. There is some weird stuff thrown in there every now and then, which is kind of something to be expected from Eastern MMOs these days, but we'll talk more about this later. Overall, though, the storytelling and the world building was very, very good in Throne and Liberty, and I enjoyed it a lot. Number 3, combat was pretty fun, at least as a sword and shield bearer. Nothing too special though, but I did enjoy ramming my way through packs of wolves with my big ol' shield slam. Number 4, the early crafted armor looked really cool. It actually made me want to go out and gather more materials to craft more stuff for myself, get myself some shoes, some gloves, and just, you know, kind of see what sort of armor sets the game had, especially as you level up more. And that leads to number 5. You know, the learning curve of the game was very solid as well. A lot of times with MMOs, when you log in, the game can sometimes overwhelm you with just a lot of garbage, like all at once, all these things that you have to learn, all these features that you have to understand, and you just feel like suffocated by it all. But I think that Throne and Liberty did really good with sort of pacing out like when the game introduces you to new stuff. So I feel like the pacing of like the understanding of the game, I guess, was very good. I never felt like overwhelmed, like, oh, there was so much to learn, because the game just did a good job with it. And number 6, I really can't say this enough. I do appreciate the fact that this MMO at no point in 3 hours of gameplay, at no point did it ever shove the store in my face. It never told me to purchase a level boost. It never encouraged me to buy a cosmetic. I didn't even know like how to get to the store. I had to ask my Twitch chat, hey, where is the store at? You know, in order to actually see what was on there. So that was something that I very much appreciated. But now we move on to the cons of the game, and I have 4 of them. So the first thing that I'll say is I personally did not spend a lot of time looking through the store very much, but I did see things like leveling boosting services, and I think there were also some items on there that helped you like gather like reagents faster and stuff. But as I already mentioned at the beginning of the video, this game does have a bit of a reputation that's growing around it of being a solid MMO, but it is pay to win, unfortunately. And from what I saw in the cash shop, this was not a shop of just cosmetics. There was a lot of like boosting and stuff, which is something I'm obviously not a fan of. The second thing is, although I liked the setting and the world of the game, I really hate the random inserts of cute and whoa, so random garbage into these sorts of games. Like you've got this almost like traditional medieval European-ish fantasy kind of vibe going on, and then all of a sudden you have this cute, almost kawaii looking teddy bear floating around helping you with quests, and then you have a big flying whale like soaring by the screen, and it's like what is the point of this stuff? Like it feels so out of place in the world, and it just seems to be there to honestly, I don't even know like why stuff like this is even in the world. I guess the big flying whale I can understand, but the teddy bear, like it doesn't even look like it belongs in this game. It looks like it belongs in another game. So like even the art style of it is completely different. So I don't understand why crap like this is like put into these sorts of MMOs. It just frustrates me and makes me want to just not play the game. Number 3, I was hoping to be able to do a dungeon in this playthrough, but unfortunately you have to wait till level 20 to do your first dungeon, and I only got to level 12. So that was a little disappointing, but I guess maybe it could also be a pro in the sense that it gives you something to look forward to. And granted, I did get to level 12 in 3 hours, so maybe 4.5 hours or something, you'd hit level 20, then you get to do your first dungeon and stuff, and maybe that first 20 levels, you're focused more on crafting and learning the combat a bit more. So I don't know. Maybe it's a con, maybe it's a pro. It just kind of depends on your perspective, but I kind of wish I could have done a dungeon maybe around like level 10 or something. And number 4, this is totally a personal preference, but I don't like how in this game you start with so many abilities. I would rather just learn them over time, just start with one simple ability or two, shield bash and, sword swing or something. And then over time, you learn new abilities like charge and AoE powers and blocks and stuff like that. I just think that feels better because it feels like you're this novice adventurer that's growing in your skills and power. But this game is kind of more like, oh, you're already this kind of heroic character right from the beginning. I'm not a big fan of that when it comes to MMOs or just kind of games in general. I'd rather start as a peasant. So in conclusion, here are my final thoughts on Throne and Liberty. Admittingly, it actually wasn't that bad. It was actually a lot of fun in a lot of areas. I've played a lot of MMOs, man. Like ever since I started with RuneScape as a kid, I've been playing MMOs left and right pretty much my whole life. And this one was definitely one of the smoothest and more enjoyable new MMOs that I've gotten the pleasure to play. There were certainly moments in this game that were eye rollers, but there were way more moments where I was like, hey, this is actually really nice and I'm having a good time playing it. However, I do have to say that because the game is pay to win, even if, like I was having a good time playing it, I don't really have any interest in playing it any further. I understand like that the Eastern MMO philosophy is different from the Western. Like in the West, it's like, oh, hey, you pay $15 a month and then we're gonna keep the servers going and we're gonna keep giving you regular content updates. Whereas in the East, you kind of got more of this mentality of, hey, we're gonna give you this free to play game that you can download and play at any point, but we're gonna make it so that it's a little bit of a grind and it's a little bit tedious. And if you invest, a few dozen dollars, $60, kind of like the price of a, full game. If you invest that, then, you can actually access like the, not the true experience of the MMO, but like a better experience with the game. You can get like, your boosted character, your new abilities, your cool skins, or like whatever it is that the MMO is offering. I understand that's more the Eastern like MMO philosophy. Personally, I don't like it. I personally like it if everybody's on the same playing field and your wallet behind the screen has nothing to do with how quickly you're leveling or what you're able to collect in the game. And just the reason why I have that mentality is MMOs are played by a wide variety of people, from adults to kids to teenagers, whatever. And some teenager might be playing the game, when I was a teenager and I was playing MMOs, And I'm like, man, I don't got money for this crap. And so like the dude that's like 35, that's, you know, working some nice ass job, making bank, you know, he's able to bypass me in this game, even though he's playing significantly less than I am. And I just felt that wasn't fair. So it's a game that unfortunately, because it does have these pay to win elements, I don't really want to keep playing it, even though I was enjoying it. And I would love it if Throne and Liberty maybe altered like their store model, maybe for the Western audience, if that's something that they could do in order to incentivize more people to play their game without having that stigma attached to it of, oh, hey, this is just pay to win garbage. It's just a cash grab. And that's it, guys. If you want to see me checking out Lord of the Rings Online, it is the legendary massive scale J.R.R. Tolkien honoring MMO, and it's on your screen right now.